Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill.
And we are actually coming...
I've got a sport business moment to start us off, Jason.
All right, let's hear it.
This is the big week coming up where Tim Tebow comes to Tampa. And all year long, I've not seen one ad for the Tampa Bay Yankees. And all of a sudden this week, the bottom of the front page of not the front page of sports, but the front page of local, has the Tampa Bay Yankees versus the St. Lucie Mets with the picture of Tim Lynch, I guess, who plays for the Tampa Yankees, whoever he is, and then the picture of Tebow. And then they're promoting 4 different games. So Thursday night, even though Tebow is ultra-Christian, Thursday night is Thirsty Thursday with dollar fountain drinks and $3 draft beers. Friday night is all-you-can-eat wings,
Ooh.
6:30 to 8:30, $15, but you got to register in advance. Saturday, August the 12th, is Back to School Bash with free backpacks. And then Sunday is Fun Day Sunday, where kids get half-price meal and run the base after the game. So really putting it out. And Florida State League is a league that draws probably 750 to 1,200 people a game. And I'm going to go in the line here and say these games won't have any less than 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Wow. How many can the stadium hold?
Well, that's the thing, because it's the Yankee spring training. I think it can hold up to 15,000.
Oh, wow.
So the Florida State League games really get lost when they play in this venue. And now, because the venue's so big and Tebow's coming, it's going to be big time.
I've
So
seen a lot.
I'm going to head down. I'll report from that on our next show. I'll go to one of those games.
Wing night?
I'll either go for Thursday or all-you-can-eat wings.
It'll be interesting to see what he draws. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's what people want to do. I want to see how many Mets fans are there as opposed to Yankee fans. How many Tebow? I'm going to see if I see more Gator Tebow shirts than baseball Tebow shirts, which I'm sure we will.
that's what I would predict as well. I've seen they've got his, that commercial's been on TV a lot with Tebow lately, too. It's like they're prepping it, where it's him almost running over the different mascots.
Yep.
And then the car doesn't stop when the car stops automatically instead of running over the Alabama mascot. I mean, he's still enormous, despite the fact that
but he's playing fairly well.
yeah,
So it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes.
very interesting. Well, I guess as long as we're in Florida, we can stick to another Florida. We'll cover this a little bit when we get to our discussion about the Dolphins on the next episode. But we did have a big injury. Ryan Tannehill goes down.
It's a huge injury.
And that brought back up 2 names we haven't heard in a while. Obviously, Kaepernick, who anytime there's any sort of QB opening, he's the first guy to get noticed. And then Jay Cutler, of all people.
Who said he would forego his broadcasting career if he was a starter.
If he was a starter and, more importantly, be paid starter money.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen.
The Kaepernick thing is interesting because...
I'd be shocked if he's the answer again. I don't want to hear the question, so I don't think that one's going to happen. But I would not be surprised if it is Kaepernick, because Ross has made a statement that he thinks that he's being blackballed and everything. He thinks it's unfair, and Ross has had a very good hiring record of giving people a chance, doing really well hiring minorities and women. So I think if Kaepernick's going to get a shot, this is where he's going to get a shot.
It'd be great to see. I mean, he's... For all the numbers where they say it's 26% of the people surveyed, so it's people that actually took the survey, said that he was the number 1 reason they tuned out. The number 2 reason, of course, being the wife beating, domestic violence, drug use. Somehow he was worse than those people to a lot of people. But at the same time, his jersey is the 24th best-selling jersey currently, even though he doesn't even play on a team. So I assume it's the 49ers Kaepernick jersey, but it's still in the top 25 jerseys sold. So there is a lot of support for him. And Richard Sherman made a couple of statements this week. He thought other NFL players not standing up or being cowards. And he also basically insinuated that this isn't about the flag or advertisers so much as it's about, boy, stay in your place. And that the owners don't want they want to squash that's where it's at. They don't want people to stand. They want players to, show up, do their job. And, if they do stuff off the field, they'll take care of it. But they don't want it to be this bigger than the game sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
I applaud Richard Sherman for standing up. And he's a very articulate, very smart guy. and I don't disagree with what he said.
No, he and Malcolm Jenkins have both been the Eagles safety, who's also been just an incredible community leader. Like, the one thing he did that I really love is, with all the violence in Philadelphia between, inner city people and the police, he went on a ride along, and his message, and now he's really working with going after Congress, and he's going to the top. Because he basically just feels like it's not the police versus people. The police are enforcing laws that are unfair on people, and they've got to get the people that are making the laws, not the people enforcing them.
And that's an interesting take. I have not heard that take very articulated very well, but here's a guy that went out and did the ride along, and he's seen it firsthand, so I applaud him for that.
Yeah, because he was basically saying, like, obviously there's going to be some bad apples in every field. Police, teachers, NFL players. But the majority of these cops are simply doing what they have to do to keep their jobs. And some of that is profiling, and that comes from the mandates that are made above them. So rather than attacking the individual police officers, they need to go after the lawmakers and the people that are setting these standards, which, again, Malcolm Jenkins, I've become a huge fan of his in the last year, just due to his sort of social activism and his art. He's a very smart guy. Very interesting.
Now, I would love to see Kaepernick get a shot, but I do want to remind everybody that the worst NFL game I have ever seen in my life was the 49ers versus the Redskins. And RG3 and Kaepernick between them didn't complete 35% of the passes.
I know. I mean, I saw his stats from last year where,
It was a horrible game. So
yeah.
maybe it was an off day, whatever it is. But I think he deserves a shot. He's better than some of the guys in the league, and I agree with that consensus. So let's give him a shot. And if he fails, he failed because he couldn't play football.
Right. Based on everything that's gone down, I would like to see him succeed. I worry that, he is a guy that was really a product of that Harbaugh system, and he's not quite the same young, spry quarterback that he was a few years ago, even though he's only 28 or 29. But that, he's better than a lot of guys in the league, but he's really not great. And it's, I think that's the bummer.
Yeah.
In other very interesting sports news, this is a little bit lighter, I suppose, is that Kyrie Irving no longer wants to be LeBron James' little brother, or some other version of that story.
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Because, you're in a situation where you've been to the finals the last 3 years. You've won a finals. I have to feel like LeBron has helped his profile overall.
Agree. And what kind of message does it send if you don't want to be a member of a team?
Right.
You want to go and be the guy. Does it mean you want to go be a star? Do you want to go win a championship? What do you want to go do? Your best chance of winning a championship is staying where you are, unless you end up on Houston or Golden State or whoever.
Right.
This late in the year, it's going to be tough to pull off a trade like that with value.
Exactly. But along those lines of him wanting his own team, like one of the teams he listed is Minnesota, who already has Karl Anthony Towns and just traded for Jimmy Butler, and has Andrew Wiggins, who apparently is a max player. Whether or not his game on the court translates to that, I have no idea. I haven't seen it, but he wants to go there. And it's also interesting because Jimmy Butler though the rumors leaked out that he was told not to come to Cleveland. Now those were sort of squashed, but that rumor was out there, and you got to wonder who was the one saying that, and maybe it was him.
Yeah.
And again, I've read some weird NBA conspiracies, and supposedly this is, LeBron wants he's made it clear this is his last year in Cleveland, and if you need to get off the sinking ship, jump off the sinking ship. No hard feelings. So.
And like I said, Jace, we're going to see LeBron in purple and gold.
Purple and gold with the Ball family. Maybe.
I don't see any way around it.
Yeah,
I think that's where he's going to go. He lives out there. He has a house out there as well as in Cleveland. And he spends time out there. I think he would get, if he won a championship in Miami, won a championship in Cleveland, and was able to restore the Lakers to glory, that's 3 pretty high-profile franchises that he would have won a championship for.
It's great. And then, to his credit, when he's dabbled in, obviously LA, you think film industry, and he's been pretty decent in his little, comedy cameos. He's got a natural presence on screen.
I think he's very good on screen.
And obviously, he wants to, he wants to be the next Magic Johnson, not on the court, but off the court, where he wants to be,
I think he could.
And I think he could as well. I mean, he's already on his way there now, regardless of whether he goes to LA or not. But and then obviously there's the bad blood that he's never going to get over the letter and the Dan Gilbert.
No, but I got to tell you, Dan Gilbert's got to get over that press conference he did with his new GM, because that was not a good-looking press conference.
No,
that looked physically pained on the part of everybody. Did not look good at all.
No, Dan Gilbert's. He doesn't look good most of the time he opens his mouth. So that's sort of on him as well.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how they pull off this trade.
And what also
I think Gilbert. I think they all want to get rid of him now too. But I think that they're all worried about. This is going to be a year of distraction, because no matter what they do, you're looking a year past this when you're going to lose your star.
Right, and apparently what they want is a veteran that can play right now, all-star level talent. A young player with all-star potential on a rookie deal, and a first-round pick. And that's the minimum bid for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, they're going to have a tough time getting that.
And it sounds like,
the other thing about it, Jace, is that, it's look at the time of year it is. I mean, I realize we're still a couple months out, but you're kind of disrupting whatever you just tried to build with free agency in the draft over the last 3 months. You've got to break apart what you did if you want to go after this guy.
And we're still in that weird time zone where the Warriors are the Warriors, and they're going to be the Warriors for the next 2 years based on the salary cap.
Yep.
Now after that, who knows? So Kyrie Irving is 25. He's under contract for 2 years. Do I want to give up a first-round pick, my young talent, and another NBA starter with the hopes of getting Kyrie Irving? For what? And he's not even guaranteed to stay there. So by the time I need him 2 years from now, when the Warriors maybe not be the Warriors, he might just take off and leave anyway.
Yeah.
Like, what am I breaking up my young core for? And again, Kyrie Irving, I think, is in the playoffs. He's an incredible guy with the ball in his hands. But I think he benefits a lot from playing next to, LeBron James. And it doesn't look like he ever plays a lick of defense. So I don't know.
Everybody's benefit is played with LeBron James.
Right. So I don't really know what his value is. Like, if I'm Phoenix, I just drafted Josh Jackson with the top 5 pick. I have all sorts of hope in him. And apparently because I guess they've been calling around, and a lot of the guys that were drafted this year and a lot of the young players that are under the rookie deals, the other teams are just saying, no, they're off the table. Like, I think Phoenix, the best
possibilities.
Yeah, the best offer
for Carmelo and the Knicks. That's an interesting one. So we'll see. What this is a good story for us to follow on the show.
Exactly. And then this isn't. You said you weren't really familiar with this, but this kind of got me even more interested in, obviously, the big fight, the McGregor-Mayweather fight. But his sparring partner, McGregor's sparring partner, who was a 2-time world champ boxer, he quit. And along with quitting, he's basically, he sort of brought up, I don't want to be part of this circus. Like, sparring we're supposed to be part of a team. I'm here to help you, get ready for the fight, become a better boxer, all those sorts of things. And he did not like all the being asked questions constantly. And he especially didn't like everyone implying that McGregor is kicking his ass. That he's a prideful fighter, and that the only video that ever seems to leak is when and they're sparring. So I mean, it's not a real fight, and it seems like what he's implying is sometimes McGregor goes harder than he's supposed to, knocks him down, and they leak that video, and he wants them to release all the videos, implying that there's a lot of times that he's been putting McGregor on his ass. So I don't think we'll ever see those videos.
Releasing that video would not be good for selling pay-per-view.
No. I mean, even him coming out and talking right now is probably not good for selling pay-per-views. But
so the answer is, Jason, are you going to go see it in the movie theater? Or are you going to get on pay-per-view? What are you going to do?
I think if the opportunity arises to see it, I am interested from a spectacle, and just like logically, I think it's going to be a terrible fight. I think you have the greatest defensive fighter of all time, who is boxers that trained for 20 years of their lives couldn't hit him, and then you have a guy that's an amateur boxer, an incredible MMA fighter, but not a boxer. And they're boxing. So I think it's going to be a lot of dancing around the ring and jabs, but at the same time, like, that sideshow freak thing, I want to watch it. I want to see behind the curtain. I just have to know.
Agreed.
But I will not be purchasing it myself, no.
Oh, I need to make a comment on the Tannehill injury.
Okay.
I'm blaming it on the Patriots.
Hey, why not?
I'm blaming it on the Patriots because that was the one legitimate team that could possibly beat them once in their division. And now they'll go 6-0 in their division like they usually do.
We're going to talk about that next week, but yeah, it's probably inevitable. Because again, they're the Patriots and that's just their way.
Yes.
Well, now, for the first time ever, I'll be contributing a food minute.
Awesome.
I've recently relocated to New Orleans for work, which is why we're attempting to do some different audio stuff for the podcast. We'll see how it works out, and we'll figure out a way to make it work better as we go along. So thank you for all your support. Just throw that out there. Well, first along my drive, I went to the world-famous The Shed, which is a barbecue place that has, sauce in the stores, and it's been seen on Food Network, and it was incredibly disappointing. So if you happen to be in Mississippi driving through, it's not worth a stop. I mean, it's cool aesthetically, the tin buildings and the old cars and the license plates and everything else, and again, I've learned from years of eating barbecue with you, like, there was red flags off the bat. Like, I couldn't smell it in the parking lot, and I couldn't smell it at the counter when I was inside. I figured maybe the tin shack was keeping the smoke in. So, but when I went in, it was subpar barbecue. I think it was all about, aesthetics and kitsch and, goofiness as opposed to actual food.
I wonder if it got sold, Jay, since we saw it.
It's a good question. Because it was,
we saw it on the Food Network. Remember how the smoke was pouring out of it and everything?
Right, but this was just, bottles of sauce and T-shirts and beer cozies and just... Yeah. I came to The Shed. It seemed like it was much more about what was there and less about what was there. Unfortunately. But if you're in New Orleans, Moe's Barbecue is just outstanding. You can smell it from across the street, so it passed that test. And in the ultimate sign, and you can tell this, I didn't need sauce. I used sauce because it's delicious. But I took a bite without sauce and it was delicious. There was flavor in the meat, and that's,
That's the key.
That's the key. You should want the sauce because the sauce is so delicious, but not need the sauce because the meat isn't enough on its own. Because that's just the way it goes. And so far, Moe's was the best barbecue, because I've had 4 barbecue places in my 9 days in New Orleans.
All right.
And then I'll give a shout out also to a breakfast place in New Orleans, because you shouted out Mom's, which I have not yet to go to. But I went to Cake, which is also just outside of all your touristy stuff down there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Huge pieces of ham in the omelet, great service, cool atmosphere. And although I did not partake because I'm trying to cut down on sugar, not that everybody needs to know that, but I am. You can add at any of your meals, whether you have breakfast or lunch, you can add a cupcake, which are all homemade and look fantastic for $1, which is why it's called Cake. But the breakfast itself stands out. Big fluffy biscuits. What's that?
Nothing wrong with a cupcake, especially for $1.
No. And they tempt you too, because after I turned it down initially, and after they came to pick up my plate, they were like, it's still only $1, but I resisted this time. And that is my food minute, or 2 minutes, or whatever it actually was.
And when I was in San Francisco, I did go to Sears Fine Foods, which has been around since the 1880s, which is my pancake breakfast place in San Francisco. And then we went to a restaurant called Tadish, T-A-D-I-C-H, which has been around since the Gold Rush days. And Forbes magazine said, and this to me is a reach, one of the 10 best places in the world to have dinner.
Wow.
And I thought it was good, but I don't even know if it'd be one of the 10 best places to have dinner in San Francisco. So I don't know where they get the world thing, but they had some places out of the country. This list of 10 places, but I was shocked.
We do. And like I said, as I explore New Orleans, I'll probably be able to contribute a little bit more for at least the next month or so.
That's great.
And everywhere, I mean, the food out here has been outstanding. Like, we got a little lunches through work from different restaurants around, and it's all been really good. But I'm going to try to hit some of those really famous spots.
Arguably the best food and music city in the United States.
That's what I hear, and I'm slowly going to find that out. Look, thank you again for all your support on Patreon. Please keep subscribing on iTunes and liking us and rating us on iTunes, because that actually helps a lot and doesn't cost you anything. You just have to click on a number of stars. And next week we're going to go East Coast, West Coast, and preview the AFC South, or AFC East, AFC West, NFC East, NFC West. So until next week, I'm Jason.
I'm Bill.